Welcome to the Global Gaming Business Podcast, the industry's first and longest running podcast, now in our 17th year. This week we feature an interview with Earle Hall, the CEO of Axes.ai, on how the cloud-based technology can help casino operators serve their customers with more efficiency and speed. This program is thanks in part to Konami Gaming, now delivering Lucky Envelope to casinos across the U.S. on its award-winning Dimension 49J cabinet. Welcome to the Global Gaming Business Podcast. My guest today is Earle Hall with Axes.ai. Earle, great to be back with you again. We did this right when the pandemic was starting, and so it's been almost 2 years, but it's great to be able to sit down and talk to you again.
I'm very happy to be here. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you had a great year for Axes.ai. I mean, you've got some really interesting products, but they really seem to be taking off now. Why don't you give us a little background on which product or service has really been driving this for you?
Well, like one of my board members said to me not too long ago, he goes, Earle, you guys have been an overnight success that's been 10 years in the making. So, and that's probably true, but we showed up way before the industry really needed us.
Sure, right.
And we were serving niche markets. Mm-hmm. By far this year, it's been the year of cashless in the United States.
Sure, right.
And that's the reason why I've started really trying to educate on the difference between open and closed loop. Mm-hmm. Because we've been doing closed loop forever, like I'm talking 2003, 2004, mm-hmm. even when this was more of an R&D project. But that being said, this year everybody started to turn not only towards transactional cashless, mm-hmm. but once you have a cashless client, what do you do with them?
Right.
Does the information stay in the open loop? Who owns the information? What can you do with it? And that's the reason why I've been blessed this year to give so many speeches around the world on KYC, know your client, on all the different things that create a legitimate gaming environment, because that's really what interests Access the most, I think. It's, if you do cashless the right way, we can turn what some people refer to as the gambling industry into a gaming industry, and then migrate it towards more of an entertainment segment, which gets rid of all of the negative connotations when the guardrails for responsible gaming and for anti-money laundering are not present, which cannot be done properly if you're not in a KYC environment. So this year was crazy for us in the cashless world, but equally crazy for us was the business intelligence side. So this year we did a really interesting strategic alliance with a company called QCI here in Nevada. And we migrated in all of their business intelligence tools into our system. And it really is bringing all of our data to life so that it goes from, because the AI at Access doesn't stand for artificial intelligence. It stands for actionable intelligence. So in other words, it's great to have loads of data, it's great to have algorithms, but if they're not telling you what to do to be better, safer, faster, more profitable, well, they're not really worth anything.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Right. So let's talk about the cashless, for instance. How does your product work? And do you work with other cashless providers like Sightline or Global Payments, or are you standalone there?
So once again, because of the fact that we've been doing closed loop all our life, we're a complete standalone cloud-based system. We have our own Tito plugins, ticket in, ticket out. We have our own smart card plugins. Because when you're in a closed loop environment, you're in a closed loop system, which means all the parts work together already. So considering we have a cloud that has data collection, it has alerts, it has events management, has automatic reporting, the cashless is just another piece of what we built, like I said, over 10, 15 years ago. So in the closed loop environment, whether you want to use Tito, whether you want to use Smart Card, even though we've had our Players app available since 2013, not very many clients started to migrate towards the app until COVID showed up, because the connotation of cash carries COVID showed up. So all of a sudden people started looking towards our app. And our app is basically a virtual version of our closed loop, where it's heavily focused on loyalty, rewards, promotions, player recognition, being able to jump the line and go from a bronze player to a gold player, a whole bunch of crazy stuff, spin to win stuff, and all kinds of things that have become the main staple of apps in what I'd like to call the real world, whether it be in the Starbucks world or the Uber world.
Right.
We integrated those things from the inception because when we started out, we saw the power of social media and of loyalty and rewards. Because on the open loop side, with all due respect, it's just a cash transaction.
Yeah, right.
You're taking money from a bank, you're taking money from PayPal or a Visa.
Right.
You're making sure the money is clean and the person is clean, and you're getting the money into the casino environment.
Right.
So that open loop piece, our vision since the beginning was the open loop providers someday will provide efficient ways of getting the money to the casino. We're the casino.
Right.
Because we provide the entire system to the casino and all their different parts, from marketing campaigns, loyalty rewards, promotions, jackpots, every other piece we provide, including the closed loop cashless. But the banking sector, the open loop piece, you need companies as strong, viable, integral as Sightline to do it.
Right, right.
So on the closed loop side, we have clients in 40 countries, well, 40 plus countries. We have millions of transactions a day on our server. But as the open loop becomes important and clients call us and say, hey, I think it's time for us to give our players the ability to put money in the machines directly, that's where we reach out to the regional open loop players and say, hey, do you want to plug in?
Yeah, okay.
Because we have the players, we have the clients, we have the data. It's just we would never openly touch the open loop all by ourselves.
Yeah.
It's because it's a very specialized part
Sure.
of the cashless world.
So
we
they
do
can-
the rest.
They can plug into your system.
Oh, definitely. We run on Microsoft Azure. Like, we don't have this closed proprietary tech.
Right.
We run on the Microsoft Azure stack. We run on their standard blockchain stack. We have X number of secure nodes all over the world. If a jurisdiction needs the data to be chained, because we use blockchain as well for security. Let's say a jurisdiction like Nevada said, we love your system, Earle, but if you're going to operate in Nevada, the data can't leave Nevada. That's no big deal. Microsoft Azure provides for private nodes inside of looped jurisdictions. So we built all of the tech to be able to do that after, over the last 10 years. People sometimes don't even realize that we've got over 50 million invested in Access. The reason why we started out in internet challenged countries is because we had to be able to do security, speed,
Right.
and transactions in very fast amounts of time in very internet challenged countries where data can get lost, data can get stolen, all kinds of things. So we had to build a military grade technology. So we don't even have a slot machine interface board, SMIBs I think they're called. Our technology inside of a slot machine, it's an IoT device. It's a real computer that hashes the information. It migrates it from G2S or SAS or Pulse or whatever the language the machine is in, we don't care. It migrates inside of the machine to our proprietary technology, which is a blockchain-based security technology. And then the data leaves the slot machine through our device up to the cloud, and you're done.
Okay.
So our principle of working is much more like a fintech than it is of a casino management system. The apps on our cloud are just products that we've built so that our clients can use ours or somebody else's.
Yeah, okay, I understand. So tell us about your Ames casino management system. How does it work, and how is it different than the traditional systems that are out there?
First of all, it's sitting in the cloud.
Okay.
So
So you
if
don't have any hardware itself?
no, there's a small black box, which is its trade name,
Right.
sitting inside of the slot machine. It's an IoT device that picks up the faulty data, because most slot machines do have skew inside of their data. We correct it with our IoT device, then we secure it, then we transport it securely to our cloud. So if a client needs an update, if a client needs a new product, if a client needs a specific report that nobody else in the world needs, our development team does it somewhere in the world, because we have developers in 7 countries.
Okay.
They populate it into the cloud, and it's updated. If in the very rare case the IoT device needs to be updated, everything's pushed from the cloud. So our clients are updated as often or even faster than Netflix.
Okay.
Because our cloud structure is built on the same structure as Netflix. Which means it's constantly being updated 24 hours a day. So 2 weeks ago, there was a major internet attack with a Java attack. And we were getting calls from our clients going, are we okay? I go, yeah, we updated you like 24 hours ago. He goes, but we didn't notice. I go, I know, it was a sub-second update, it's called. In other words, we just flashed our IoT devices and they turned off, turned on, takes less than a second, and the cloud was already updated, so everybody was updated in less than 7-8 minutes from the attack was announced.
Without losing any data?
No, well, our data's changed, you can't lose it.
Okay.
That's the other cool thing about the way we work.
Yeah.
Inside of the Microsoft Azure security stack, each piece of data, we have trillions of pieces of data, has its own random generated password. So tomorrow morning, if a hacker called us and said, we're going to hack your data, I'd say, no, give me your email, I'll send you our data.
Really?
Because the best estimate in the quantum computing we're doing in our lab, because we use quantum computers to hack our own system, we're still over 250 years it would take to hack our cloud. Because you'd have the hack through Microsoft Azure first, their security first, to get to our data, and then to our added-on security.
And each of those little bits of data have a password.
Yep.
So you have
and nobody in the world knows them.
Yeah. Sounds crazy to me.
But it's simple stuff that we're doing in the cloud world. eBay started this out, then Amazon really bit into the way of doing this. Netflix is an amazing company. Then Microsoft showed up with some pretty impressive technology at a very affordable price, because when you talk cloud and you talk blockchain, you have to talk cost per transaction.
Right, okay.
So we had to work to bring down that cost so much that our Ames, as you call it, the Access Information Management System, could run in a blockchain-based cloud at almost no cost.
That's amazing. So, a lot of times casino managers will get nervous when you talk about the cloud. You're not going to have the data on your site or in your data warehouse or something like that. I mean, what do you say to kind of calm them down, to explain that it's just as safe in the cloud as it would be in their data warehouse?
I love your questions. I wish I had to know them beforehand. I'd be a lot less nervous. But put it back this way. Can you remember back in the good old days when safety was a kind of like a vault you had in your house?
Right.
Then everybody figured out that might not be a good idea because they just came with more criminals and more dynamite.
Right.
Then you went to a bank, and then banks start getting to get hit. Well, I think everybody has realized, and I say this very sadly, 2021 was a very hard year for some of the tribes at Niga, with the amount of times they got hit. They're calling it ransomware, but it's hacking. I'm getting into your private server, I'm finding the hole, the back door we call it, to get in. Once I'm in, it's not a question of how or why, it's a question of how much time it's going to take me to get your stuff. If we had to have this conversation pre-COVID, like when we met, I would say there's still a lot of education to go, but I think in 2022, which is in like a couple of days, everybody's realizing that when you're in a Microsoft Azure cloud, which some of the banks here in Nevada use, when you're in a Microsoft Azure cloud, when you're in an Amazon Web Services cloud, when you're in a Snowflake cloud, which is a really cool one as well, when you're in those clouds, you're dealing with a level of security that is not more than you have in money to pay in security. But the amount of money that Microsoft, Amazon, Snowflake are putting in the security of their clouds is more than the revenue of the casino clients we have. So the pitch is first of all, I asked them, may I see your phone, and I see if it's an Android or whatever. Then I asked them if they have a Dropbox account. So I take them up slowly to understand that they're already in the cloud. And the Excel spreadsheet that all their data is on is sitting in a Dropbox somewhere. But it's safer there than sitting on their server on property. Because the server on property will 100% guaranteed be hacked. If it's sitting in a mainstream credible cloud, like Microsoft, like Amazon, like Google, like the others, how can it be hacked? Is Google going to risk their entire bank account by having a client being hacked for X number of millions of names, bank account numbers, or this or that other thing? Everything's gone to the cloud, but up above the cloud, there's another level. It's called blockchain cloud. What is blockchain? It's random generated passwords on data, so it's absolutely impossible to undo the data. So when you look at Microsoft Azure Cloud, all that means is that you have a blockchain package there that nobody in the world can hack. Why? Because every piece of data you add on has more and more and more passwords, so security is exponential with the amount of data you have. So if you can imagine Access after 10 years, it's just unfathomable the amount of passwords that are in our distributed database over Azure.
Okay. Well, let's start with the hacking thing. I was at the Indian Gaming Mid-Year Conference in California a few weeks ago, and a guy got up and was explaining that there's no way to stop a hacker from coming in, especially if you're into that open loop. You allow somebody into your systems, by opening it up.
That's a direct question, so I'm going to get in trouble for the answer. That person is wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
You know how I am. If you ask a question, I'll answer. So, first of all, when you're in a credible public cloud, and when I mean a public cloud, like a Microsoft, an Amazon Web Services, everything starts with what's called denial of service. In other words, there's a multiplicity of tools sitting on the moat, like alligators, like soldiers with arrows, cannons with gas in them, like the good old days. And they're just waiting for a suspicious event to happen. In other words, somebody doing their password 6 times in a row. Block them. Or somebody that's messed up their username 3 times. Block them. Or somebody's knocking at the printer door. The printer, by the way, the printer port is the easiest place to hack. So you're looking for those things. So in the credible cloud world, you start off with denial of service. We had a major attack in Europe about a year ago. I get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning from our client in Europe and goes, Ames, Access Information System, is offline. I go, that's impossible. Random, I'm at the computer sweating like a pig. I was so stressed. And it was offline. So then I call our Microsoft representative in Europe. He goes, yeah, Earle, we had to flash the lights on all of our clients for 90 seconds. There's a major attack going on in Europe right now. There's 2 internet bournes that are hit, the nodes. And he goes, it's only going to take 2 minutes. The cloud will be back online with another security package. But he goes, we thought they were going to penetrate, so our AI tools turned everybody off. Denial of service guarantees you can't get in. Could you imagine how many clients in the world that I know of other products don't have a denial of service package? That means that the door is open.
So is this the problem that these tribal casinos had, that they don't have that kind of level?
So tribal, and I've mentioned this, so I'm not talking behind their backs. I've mentioned this to their authorities. The first thing is when you have an on-site system, an on-site server, an on-site management system hosted inside of computers that are there. There is no amount of money you can invest in security that will even put a drop in a bucket close to what Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Snowflake, and the others are investing every year. So it is unfathomable to think that anybody would ever have a server on site in 2022 when the tools exist in the cloud to be 100x. Why are we in the cloud? Because of my 3 best shareholders. They're all banks. They would not let us do private servers because we had a client wanted to do a private server on their own premises, which for us is easy. Microsoft Azure, all I have to do is put my finger on the folder and drag it into their private site on their premises. But we're not allowed to do that. We can do private servers, but they have to be hosted on a site that responds to the 5 criteria we have for security. If not, I cannot guarantee the security 100%. And we do that. We pay companies multiple times a year, I can't give you the number, but we pay companies all over the world mega amounts of money every year to hack us. To find our vulnerabilities, because I don't care what security is, you can only be 99.999.
Right.
We're there, we're at the highest level of security. But every time we add on new things, new features, we like to have them hacked. So we hack all of our own stuff with outsourced companies that don't know each other, and we're just anonymous IP addresses that they're hacking to make sure we get feedback all the time. Because in the cloud world, as soon as you say that you're cloud with one of the big 5 like the Microsofts, once you say you're blockchain cloud, and once you say that you're paying for all of the different tools we pay for, like denial of service, another thing that we have in our cloud is called redundancy. And we did this after the Europe attack last year. Let's say that Europe gets completely hammered by an attack on their internet volumes. Well, now inside of our system, as soon as we detect that a node on the internet has gone offline, we switch to another Microsoft Azure master node somewhere else in the world. So if somebody's in Europe and Europe goes down, instead of being a couple of minutes like it was last year, now it's between a half and 3/4 of a second, while our system switches to another master node with the same features, same GDPR, the same security, everything else, but in a different part of the world. Because we localize all of our data according to the jurisdictional rules. Like all of our clients in Europe flow through the European Microsoft Azure. Why? Just to make sure that they feel that they're inside of the laws of the European Union. Same in the US, same everywhere else in the world. And that's the reason why virtual technologies like Microsoft Azure are way more secure, way faster, and our clients sleep at night because they know that we don't.
Okay. So let's talk about blockchain. I went to the conference that GSA put on in Reno a couple of years ago, and I came away from that conference hearing that blockchain is not as secure as people think that it is. Very hackable. Did I get wrong again, or what?
First of all, that conference was organized by techies for techies.
Yeah.
Which means that they all love to debate theory.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm responsible because I'm the guy that does all the blockchain stuff for IGSA. And GSA is doing incredible work there. IGSA in 2022 is going to shock the gaming world with all of the things that are coming out to protect the members and accelerate the ability to be bigger, better, faster. So I'm really excited what GSA is doing this year. But that being said, nothing in this world is 100% sure.
Right.
So if you ask me, how does a quantum computer compare to today's blockchain? I'd say, it doesn't fare well. But who has quantum computers?
Right. Not many people.
Not many people. We do.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice because we keep improving our security packages based on what we see coming in about 5 years from now. But blockchain is the only thing we have on this planet right now that is secure, unless you want to be completely offline.
Yeah.
And completely offline means you can't even network in a slot machine into a server on a property.
Right.
Because as soon as you have that blue wire, I can cut it, sniff it, hack into it, read what's going on. I can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So blockchain will bring you to 99.999. There's nothing else on the planet that can get you above 91. I think is about the highest SLA, software licensing agreement you can get, service licensing.
Yeah.
So if you ask anybody, what does a local server give you in terms of security? It'll depend on what your chief security officer on the property is willing to bet as risk.
Yeah.
Whereas blockchain is the only thing that can give you 99 and 3 nines at the end. Why? Because it uses a methodology of passwords before and after the piece of data. And every password is chained together so that if I have 5,000 pieces of data, I have way more than 5,000 passwords that I have to hack to be able to get into that data.
Okay.
So no, there's nothing secure on this planet 100%. But you have blockchain that's at 99.999 and have everything else that's running between nothing and not good enough.
Right.
Sorry.
Inspired by the gift-giving tradition of the red envelope, Konami's Lucky Envelope Premium Slot Series is bringing mystery cash prizes to players. Guests can open up their luck with mystery jackpot events, instant symbol-driven credit prizes, and more. See the video and download the brochure by visiting konamigaming.com/luckyenvelope. And now back to our podcast. All right, well, let's talk about interpreting the data. I mean, you're talking about all these trillions pieces of data you have, and like you said earlier, if you don't know what to do with it, what good is it? So how do you use artificial intelligence to kind of interpret that data, and do you make suggestions to the casinos about what that data means?
That's an awesome question, because that's what I spent 10 years of my life teaching at the master's degree level in Canada. Mm-hmm. Data is really worth nothing, in my opinion, unless you can do something with it. Mm-hmm. When we started out Axis, I'll never forget them asking me the question. This is like a million years ago. He goes, Earle, SAS has the capacity to pick up 70-something different data points. Mm-hmm. But he goes, nobody in the gaming industry is picking up more than 10, 15, 20 pieces of data. Everybody's using the same data. Are we going to pick up all that? I go, yep. He goes, Earle, do you know how much data that's going to be in 5 years? I go, yep. He goes, what are we going to do with that data? I said, I have no clue. But I didn't.
Right, sure.
But the principle is when you have every single piece of data, somebody will ask you for it. But coming out of the Army, my favorite company in the world back then was Cognos.
Right.
And Cognos had something called a cube, where they had a three-dimensional way of taking two pieces of data, and without real artificial intelligence back then, they were able to correlate it into actionable intelligence. In other words, we found this, we found that, here's what it generated a result, we recommend you do this instead to change that. That became the mantra of me teaching for 10 years when I learned Cognos. Yeah. And when we started out Access, the thing is as the sophistication of the gaming industry evolved, we would be able to correlate things bigger, better, faster, so that you could reduce the number of machines on a slot machine floor. Why? Get rid of everything that's under the median. Mm-hmm. Number two, focus on the right denomination and the right game so that you're pushing the right products to the right people. Mm-hmm. The other thing, the biggest waste of money in our gaming industry, promotions.
Yeah.
Why? Because vastly promotions are sent out vanilla, and you're not sending them out according to pre-programmed metrics, whether it be last visit, play, time on device, number of visits, but you don't have access in real time to all of these things. Right. So we started generating all of these models of data to be able to tell our clients, this is the thing you should do. And then I met the guru, I call him, Andrew Cardinal.
Okay.
Andrew and I have been friends forever, but we never really crossed paths to work together. And I sat down with him a couple of years ago with a major complex problem I wanted to solve, because I knew there was an inefficiency on one of the casino floors of one of our best clients in the world in Mexico. And I said, I've got to fix this for this guy, because I know he's missing 12% of his revenue, but I said, I can't get it out of the data. And he goes, and if you know anything about Andrew Cardinal, Andrew just looked at me and goes, duh, Earle, this is simple. I go, here we go again. I know, Andrew, I'm stupid, but please give it to me. And he goes, Earle, you have all the data, you're just missing this filter of how to present it as something that is actionable. And he goes, literally, 15 minutes later, he goes, this is how you do it. And he showed it to me with my own data. And first, I was really insulted. Number two, I was in awe. Number 3, I said, you are now my chief data scientist. Here's your benediction. You're starting in less than an hour. And Andrew jumped on the bandwagon and really became the guy in the team that brought us from too much data to loads of actionable intelligence. And that's when he built QCI. I said, here we go. Andrew, I have a different program for you now. And he's working with another genius. His name is Dr. Ralph Thomas. And he said, now you two guys are going to take our data and you're going to build actionable intelligence models so that we can bring a whole new level to our clients where they're not getting, they're getting reports now because we do a whole bunch of fun things with our reports, like automatically generated reports, anormality reports. You can build your own ad hoc reports because I'm still the greatest disciple of crystal reports on this planet. But what Andrew and Ralph have brought to Access is a whole new way of saying, we're going to eat the data, we're going to build pre-built actions, and we're going to push out recommendations and decisions from now on. So the new level of Access in 2022, it's called Access BI, Business Intelligence. Our new website will be up and running in a month or two, I guess. And one of the biggest initiatives we've worked on for the last, Andrew's been with us for 2 years, so the biggest thing we've been working on now for about 18, 19 months is to get a whole new module in our system that's saying, hey Earle, or hey Roger, we know you're doing it this way and you're running at this level of profit, but if you do it this way, our data shows that you can get 5% more profit here. Or we are sure there's theft here for this reason. Or you have this machine that's performing like this because of that. Do that and you'll get rid of it. And in 2022, it's all about bringing out pre-digested information so that you can virtually sit with a brilliant casino manager that the cool thing we talk to the old guys, or the old ladies, is they already know, but they don't have the proof. And now you have this new era of people working in casinos that want the data, they want the proof. Whereas the old schoolers, like my mentor, Mike Telesmanic, who taught me literally everything I know about the industry, I owe so much to him and Frank Fantini. But between the both of them, when you see people like this, all they need now is the pre-digested data to say, I want to do it this way. What does the data say? Well, the data is saying the same thing as you. Great, let's go there. But everybody's looking for data today, and it's hard to get data because a lot of people don't pick up the SAS information the way it should be. Number 2, it's not corrected to true data because we run in what's called a true data model, so there's no skew in the data. But number 3, once you have all that data, you have to break it down into small chunks that you can take very concrete actions with. And that's what we've been working so hard on for the last 2 years.
Okay, great. I just have one more question. How is the convergence of online and land-based gaming affecting your company? I mean, obviously you can serve the land-based casinos, but are you serving more and more online casinos as well?
Nope, we have no interest in the online world. Nope. No, like I said, and this is going to sound strange, and I know I just looked at the camera because I'm actually looking out at my mentor. I fell in love with the land-based industry, and I know I'm going to get in trouble with what I'm going to say, but the online gambling industry is sitting in your basement in a bathrobe, clicking on a mouse, playing a gambling game. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Whereas the land-based industry still has this aura to it. It still has this magic. You get dressed up to go to the Bellagio. The Marina Bay Sands in Singapore is absolutely magnificent. You get dressed up. You have a great meal. You meet some friends. You play a few games. Or you go to your corner store in Georgia and you see the same 3 guys you get gas with every Friday afternoon. You play a couple of games. You get a bottle of Coke. You buy a couple of lottery tickets and you go home happy. The land-based industry deserves, 1, to be protected. 2, it deserves to be brought up to the level where it actually is. The land-based gaming industry exists because you want an experience. You're not out there to gamble. If you want to gamble, stay home in your bathrobe. So if you want a game, you go to an establishment where they're working hard on food, they're working hard on entertainment, They're working really hard on hotel rooms if that's what they have. But they have a guy like a Mike Patterson at the Barona who's walking around the casino floor going, are you happy? Are you okay? Right. Can I do anything for you? Would you like a bottle of water? I'll go get it for you. Our industry, land-based is not a gambling industry.
Right.
It's an entertainment industry.
Right.
It's a customer service industry because as I saw the ship share of Aristocrat, they've had a crazy good year.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's the same game in every casino. So what's the difference? It's the heart that the casino manager has, that lady has, like when Debbie Nutton was at MGM.
Yeah.
That's walking around that casino floor. And I learned that from her. We were walking along the floor doing something. She stopped, picked up a dirty Kleenex and put it in her pocket. And I went, wow, that's our industry.
Yeah, no question.
That marked me forever. Yeah. So our job is to empower the land-based industry to be as integral as possible. No money laundering, no addictive gambling. Number 2 is to give them perfect cashless experience, KYC, know your client, so that they know how to protect gamblers against themselves, they know how to promote to the right people, and they know how to be efficient. Why? So they can build their entertainment venue to the maximum they can. I know, for some people that might sound corny, but that's the only reason we exist.
Yeah, great. And some of these recommendations you make through your systems have to do with other things other than actually just gambling. It has to do with, what are you going to offer somebody a free meal or a free room or a seat at a great concert or something like that.
Our job is to give them the tools and the education because they already know how to run their business.
Right.
When I sit with a casino operator, the first thing I tell them is, hey, I'm not an operator. I don't know your business. I'll never know your business. You have it in your blood, but I got the tools to make it better.
Yeah, great. Well, it's great to sit down with you again, and we're looking forward to hearing what's going on in 22 because it sounds like you've got a really interesting year coming up.
Yeah, it's finally our breakout year, I think, from what we've had in 2021, and it's all because of 3 things. 1, I have the best shareholders on the planet. What I'm telling you today, they believed in me almost 15 years ago when I told them that's what I wanted to do. 2, our clients. Can you imagine clients in third world countries signing up to a cloud information management system 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
They believed in us way before mainstream did. And 3, this is the first company I've ever said this, but even including the 10 years I was in the Army, I have the best team I've ever worked for in my entire life right now. The warriors that I work for are the craziest people I've ever worked for, and they only have one thing in mind. Our mission is to make this industry a much better place so that when you sit down in a venue talking to your buddies and your buddy goes, oh, you're in the car industry? Yep. You're in the financial services industry? And you go, you're in the land-based gaming industry? Oh, wow. So they don't look at us as being a gambling industry anymore.
Right.
They look at us as being a safe and fun entertainment industry. And my team is so dedicated to that it just blows my mind.
Great. Well, thanks for sitting down. We'll definitely stay in touch because I want to hear all the exciting things that are going to go on in 22.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Great.
Cheers.
Hope you enjoyed this week's podcast with thanks again to Konami Gaming. Check out KonamiGaming.com/LuckyEnvelope for a look at the newest original series on Dimension 49J. To learn more about the cloud and analytics in gaming, visit GGBmagazine.com. Subscribe to GGB News to get all the news of the gaming industry delivered to your desktop every Monday morning. Sign up at ggbnews.com and use the coupon code GGB180 for a free subscription. Don't miss a single episode of this podcast. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify today. So we'll see you next time on the GGB Podcast.